your predecessor, Paul Tuchel, emphasized that the atheist is one who strives to be self-sufficient and who does not depend on public charity but can pay his way through life. It seems to me that this requirement cannot really be accomplished without the personal life coming into the picture. You know, survival on this earth level is not the ultimate. We know that. But the personal life gives people a sense of independence and freedom. At least the beginning of physical freedom, psychological and whatnot. So how can we incorporate the personal life into the overall scheme of real freedom so that it does not kind of glue one onto the matrix of creation? I ask this question because no matter how one looks at it, we have personal lives also while pursuing the real awareness courses. So what do you say about that, Duane?
What Paul was referring to, you get a better view of it now as opposed to when you're in it. Because, at that time, even though Paul said, it's not that you have a soul, you are soul, but he's still referring to the personal self. It was still the elementary stages. But he was referring to the real you, okay, your real awareness, but said it in a way that the personal self was okay with what he was describing and defining. Because again, remember, these are the beginning stages, and you got the kids out there, like having kids, at 5 and 6 and 7, we'll say, running around and wanting to have fun and learn things. Well, you don't present them with a career plan at that time, do you? No, not at all, because that's way too much. They're going to stop and all look at you and go, well, gee, Mom, we want to play ball, you see? And so, again, this is still the membership there. They want to play ball. They're not interested in a real career, you might say. In other words, what I've defined as a real purpose, more so than a career. So that's what Paul was referring to at that time. That was a hint as to what was coming up. And now here we're in it. Yes, about being really self-sufficient. So yes, in the personal sense, we depend upon each other. This is how it is. This is okay. But he wasn't talking about that. In other words, you just go out there into the desert or the mountains and you just live by yourself and eat the twigs and, steal bird eggs, whatever, okay? No, that isn't the idea at all. And so, hey, I'm at that age to where I collect Social Security. And so you might say I'm working the system. And if I were to be you might say a true person, that I wouldn't take Social Security because I would be self-sufficient. Well, again, it's not in the physical sense so much. We need help here because this is the personal self we have to drag along. We really do. And it's the personal self is a reference point, okay? And we can glamorize it. We got movie stars and cute people and famous people and popular people and rich people and all this, all these things, and we can glamorize it. That's fine. It doesn't change what it is. It's a vehicle. You can have a Porsche, you can have a Mercedes, you can have an old clunker. It's still a vehicle. It's 4 wheels and steering wheel. It's just a vehicle is all it is. It's really about the real awareness, isn't it? So this vehicle acts as a reference point to where when we go into those far out experiences or we see something that we recognize, etc. Myself, I see it with myself. I go back and forth and I look at the personal self as objectively as I can. It's very important, not taking anything for granted, because I look at every area that I can cover, and I'm not perfect. I just do what I can, but I set it automatically like that, kind of like an antivirus in your computer. When it goes through it, it looks for anything that's an obstruction. And so each person can do this also, you see? So Paul gave the hint. Now we're into the reality of it. And again, this is why Joni has the membership, and we have, attending less than 30, you might say, to the Skypes, because, there's a lot more people out there. But of course, people don't have time, or they're busy bowling, or, playing golf, or whatever it is. And that's fine. Everything's permissible, and it's just choice. So, it's very interesting how things have come along, but I see it as so much better, and that it's figured out this far. And what you're referring to, again, that's what Paul was really referring to. But at that time, I look at it too. I look because I was there, and I was going through what I was going through at that particular time. And it more enhanced upon the personal self, because that's when I was a contractor. I had the family, I had the house, I was doing things. But I was really supporting what I was doing by, at the time, it was called spreading the message. And that was the most important thing to me. And I saw at a certain point with my former wife that she was more interested in her personal life, and I was more interested in the unknown, which I didn't even know what I was getting into. But I knew at a certain point I had to leave. I had to leave that environment and explore. And I'm so glad I did. And I left a lot of nice environments at the best of times to more so explore, to get here and put myself through a lot of, I would say, unnecessary things. But all of a sudden, I guess they seem to be necessary to finally figure this out. So the little self, for the most part, there is so much to it that is not seen. It goes through so much. It goes through all of creation with the 5 bodies. So I would say just get busy and have fun with sharing this and learning to recognize the is, and don't have any concerns. You really don't have to, but it's up to you, whatever, about the personal self too much, because you know what? It's a toughie. It really is. It has a life of its own, and you're still taking care of it. You're still eating. You're still doing things. But at the same time, you're also seeing a whole lot more. So each person will learn this within themselves, and I'm always learning myself, because every moment is new for me. I'm like the kid. I grow younger, and I don't want to get younger than 5 years old, because then it's like, okay, am I going to figure out anything? But the thing is that, the personal self is a toughie. It's really a lot stronger than you can even consider. And so nobody really has to be concerned about the personal self except for what's going on in the world. So figuring that out. But so this should be the challenge for people, to be motivated to become more aware, so that as they go through this process, they can handle their awareness, so that when you do pass on to the next position or the other side, that you're aware enough to see that, there are possibilities for you, to where you don't have to look back with what you've been through. That's all. And I see that, most people, they go to the other side thinking it's going to be better. Well, it actually becomes worse for them, because they didn't prepare for that. So it's always to prepare, and you can say it in many ways, but I'm not giving the idea here that, you have to prepare for this. No, it's better to be now and recognize the is. And the more now you are, the better off you are. It's not about where you're going. It's where you is now. That's the real recognition. And that really, for the most part, will solve everything. But you need the full recognition of that, and 100% sincerity with the all is, to be able to handle that position, so that everything does take place accordingly. And who can say what that is? So each one of us has our own journey and our own challenge.
I had a real side experience with the Africans, and it was about there were blue stones and bigger than walnuts, and they were real plentiful. I think they were opals, but anyway, it might be something for them to keep their eye open for.
Bluestones.
Yeah, they were right there where they were. There were African women that they were right there on the ground, and they were gathering them. I think they were a beautiful opal, but it's just something that maybe they should become aware of, or should keep their eye open.
Yeah, maybe in places like Congo, there's a lot of artisanal mining. The rivers, the waterways are full of what I may call precious stones. The people who mine all kinds of metals, the names of which I cannot, the names I can't remember. So there's a lot of this kind of mining going on in Congo. The whole place is a vast mining area on the hills, in the valleys, in the rivers. We are looking for gold, for precious stones, for diamonds, and all the like. So maybe you found yourself in one of those areas, and you saw the women. The women are very active there, doing that kind of activity to get some money. I don't know.
Charles?
Yeah, Duane.
Okay, yes, I understand that definition. Like I've said, it's there's a comparison with people with like Africa and the United States and whatever. Again, what I see the experience as, and it's interesting, it's the women. Is that what it was, Tim? You mainly saw women doing that?
Yeah, that's what I remember. And it didn't seem like it was in the mountains. It was just there on the flat ground right where they were.
Right, right. So the idea is, and for the most part, many times, Paul even referred to this. He said women usually have it easier with this because they're usually more, women are more intuitive. Men are more literal usually. They're the go-getters, and the women are, they pay attention to, they're like the homebodies. They pay attention to the things that are right in front of them. And what I see is that, and they're picking it, in other words, just the average ground, it's the earth. They're picking it up off the earth. In other words, the idea is that there are still treasures on the earth, not referring to minerals, gold, silver, whatever, diamonds. I don't see it as that. I see it as, again, the intuitive side of learning to recognize what's already here and making something out of that, not necessarily something monetary. You see, again, getting people together to, start sharing, to do something, whatever they can, a step at a time. So I see it as the treasures are there, and that's just a reference as the opals, the bluestones or whatever, as a reference, not necessarily a physical reality. So yeah, people will start thinking that, oh, okay, we'll go dig for gold and diamonds and whatever. No, that's not it. In other words, that's chasing the business world idea, when really that will follow suit with when you become more aware. That's what I see the treasure, and it's right on the earth. In other words, it's right in front of everybody. It's all right there. Everybody has the same advantage. What's compared to in the world is the things that have been created that people have. This is the competition and comparativeness, when really we're all free beings of real light right now. Now that you know this, more than just a soul, or you are soul, and it has been more defined. That's what I see as the real treasure, and it's just using that as a reference, and it's right on the earth, right in front of everyone. And so again, there's something that you can take back to the Africans.
Well, that was quite an oblique angle.
By any chance, have you talked to Miriam lately, Charles?
No, not personally. We just follow what they write on the WhatsApp New Smile group. Not we didn't talk. We didn't have any personal interpersonal communication. That things have not.
Okay, I wrote an email last night and sent you the image that we created.
Yeah. I saw it just before, not long before the Skype start, and I'm going to translate it into French, and I sent to her.
I would like to see it keep going because, again, this provides something for all of us, and we all support each other. I see it as very important, and every moment I'm focused on, no matter where I'm at, I'm focused on what can I do next? That's my focus, always. Mm-hmm. So, the world has an opportunity, and we get the challenge. This is why life picked us at this particular time to do something. So we have to prove ourselves, or we don't. And so who will take up the challenge to prove themselves with the whole of life? That's a great privilege to do that. And so as things come and go, again, I've seen them to where they're gone, they disappear, and the people with them, they're off doing something else in their personal little life. And they've had this opportunity, and it's not that it's going to just keep showing up. It's very difficult to have a person that can recognize what's going on here realistically that makes sense with the whole of life. So even what Paul presented, and we work off of that, well, it's old news. There's references there, but, Paul is new too on the real side. He's not referring to the corporation anymore, and none of those things. That what he's presented, it had to be all redone, and here it is. So this is just a brief moment, and through all those thousands and thousands of lifetimes struggle to get to this brief moment. Don't let it go. Keep on it. Thank you, Charles. That was fun as always. Yes, people will get a lot out of what we're presenting here, and more people are showing up. Again, the idea is take the risk, and you'll be glad that you did. Yes, have fun, Charles. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, Dan, I just want to comment on the singing of the new that we've just done. You see, it clearly comes out, the variety. Can hear the baritone voice of Vesna. You hear the long, drawn out singing of Eva, and in fact, various intonations. That is singing. It's not something fixed and monotonous. Just so you see that it emphasizes the distinction you just made about singing and chanting. Singing the new you and chanting the hue or any other mantras. See, this one has room for creativity, for variety, as the singer wants to do it. And there's a lot of freedom in the way you go in and out of it. That's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Yes, be careful with those ideas, Charles, because Joni's listening and she really doesn't like those ideas.
Well, there's nothing she can do now.
Really? Okay.
There's nothing. There's nothing she can do.
Well, Harry's our backup. So anyhow, just kidding. Have fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's good being with you.